So what do you see here? You see here nothing but the pituitary gland itself. Okay, so now let's talk about the pituitary gland. So the pituitary gland is a small oval structure which is attached to the undersurface of the brain by the infundibulum, which is a stalk-like structure. Infundibulum is going to pierce the diaphragma sella to reach the pituitary gland. You can remember this with IDP, infundibulum, diaphragma sella, and pituitary gland. How is the pituitary gland protected? Pituitary gland is protected because of its location in the hypophyseal fossa of the sella turcica of the sphenoid bone. So you can remember this with HSS. So it is also known as a master endocrine gland because it influences the activities of many of the other endocrine glands. Now let's talk about the lobes of the pituitary gland. As you can see here, this is the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland and this is the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is also known as the hypophysis cerebri. The anterior lobe is going to be known as the adenohypophysis and the posterior lobe is going to be known as the neurohypophysis. The anterior lobe is subdivided into pars anterior and pars intermedia. Pars anterior is also known as the pars distalis and pars intermedia may be separated by a cleft, which is a remnant of an embryonic pouch. Now let's talk about pars anterior a little bit more. This is also known as the pars distalis. So pars anterior is going to project forwards to form the pars tubralis. Pars tubralis extends onto the anterior and lateral surfaces of the pituitary stalk. Now let's talk about the relations of the pituitary gland. So we're going to have an anterior relation, posterior, superior, inferior, and lateral relation. So anteriorly, we are going to have a sinus. And what sinus is that? That is the sphenoid sinus. And inferiorly, we are going to have the sphenoidal air sinuses and the sphenoid body, as you can see here. And laterally, we are going to have cavernous sinuses. And posteriorly, we are going to have DBP. DBP is dorsum sella, the basilar artery, as well as the pons. So we cannot see these structures here because it is present more posteriorly. And then superiorly, we are going to have the central aperture of diaphragma sella. The central aperture is an aperture through which the infundibulum is going to pass through, which is going to separate the anterior lobe from the optic chiasma. Now let's talk about the blood supply of the pituitary gland. You can remember this with HICA. So like you just hiccuped, okay? So we have superior and inferior hypophyseal arteries, which are branches of internal carotid arteries. And then when we talk about the veins are going to drain into the intercavernous sinuses. And now let's talk about the functions of the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is going to influence the activities of many of the other endocrine glands. It is itself controlled by the hypothalamus, and the activities of the hypothalamus are modified by the information received along numerous nervous afferent pathways from different parts of the CNS and the plasma levels of the circulating electrolytes as well as the hormones.